Do you ever have moments whereby you just feel so worthless? Because I, for one, I know for myself that sometimes, in fact, most of the times, I might actually feel worthless. You might feel like you're a bad friend, a bad mom, a bad neighbor, a bad student, a bad roommate, if I can put it that way. And so at times we're just tempted to feel really worthless. And at times we do compare ourselves with our friends, and you think, okay, this friend is better than I am, and you think that you are not as important. And you might think that, okay, I'm a working mom and I'm not as good. I'm a bad mom, but I'm a working mom because I'm not there for my family as well. Or perhaps you are a stay-at-home mom, and yet you feel like you are, what's this? You are being left behind because the world is evolving, and you're just there at home. We do get tempted to feel worthless. And of course, those popular self books, they tell self-help books actually, they tell us that you should think positive, and to be honest, at times hey, it's not that easy to feel positive and to have positive talks. Just like, as in, I really don't have the energy right now to be telling myself that, oh, I'm worthy and all that, because the situation is just telling you that, okay, it's really, it's not okay, it's not okay. And hence we need to look at Psalms 8, because Psalms 8 advises us, those people who feel worthless at times. It advises us, or it speaks to us, if I can put it that way. And one of the first steps that you need to do for you to not feel worthless is to see how small you are. See your smallness. And of course, it might not make sense because you're already feeling worthless, and now I'm telling you that you should see your smallness. Guys, you need to see who you are in the grand scheme of life. There was a time when I was actually walking, and I just looked up and I saw that, oh my goodness, this tree is huge. It's literally way taller than I am, probably like 10 times the height of Charmaine. And I'm like, I'm so small. I am small, let alone the person who created that tree. Just imagine. You need to first see how small you are, And you need to understand that, yes, we do have feelings of weakness. We do feel like we need to feel that we are small, because you know what? You realize that you are not God, because God in himself is majestic, and we can't be God. We are human beings. We do fall short sometimes, And the first verse of Psalms 80 says, "Oh Lord our God, how majestic is your name in all the earth." How majestic. That's what it starts with. Seeing how majestic God is, actually, And it goes on to say, "When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have set in place. What is man that you are mindful of him, and the son of man that you actually care for him?" Guys, if you actually think of it, science tells us that what the earth is, guys, the earth in itself is small, is extremely small compared to the whole galaxy, compared to the whole universe. How much more us who are even way smaller than the earth itself, It just shows that, we are just so small, and God is just so great. God is just too, like, he's really great. He's really, yeah. He's just an amazing God, because, I might be able to write a book, but he spoke things into existence. I might paint a wall, but he's the one who invented color, I might fold the laundry, but he's the one who put the leaves into their position. Imagine. So, it also mentions in verse 2, it says that it mentions, "Out of the mouth of babies and infants you have established strength because of your foes, to steal the enemy and the avenger." In other words, it's showing that God uses even something as small as a baby or an infant. Guys, when a baby, guys, a baby is small, they can't really do much, they really can't do much, actually, other than to cry and to eat. But yeah, but it says here that God can use something that can feel as worthless or feels like they are not useful. God can use those people, to steal the enemy and the avenger, you know. And all throughout scripture, weaknesses has been a way which God works in the world. Literally. God used the barren Sarah, God used Rebecca, God used Rachel, to make a mighty nation, and he used Moses, who had a stammered, speech. He used him. He used the shepherd boy. He uses the things that are deemed as worthless, the things that are deemed as small, if I can put it that way. He's not looking for people who, think positive and tell themselves that they are great, but he's looking for those who are lowly at heart, who are humble, and okay, one of the problems that we have is that we put our worth in the things that we do. We put our worth in the things that we do or create, or even believe. And hence, if the thing that we do does not produce anything, that's when we now feel worthless. That's when we now feel like, okay, am I really doing anything here? You need to see your worth. You really need to, now that you have seen how small you are and how God great is, that's where you need to see where your worth is, because despite of the fact that you're small, God still cares for you. Okay, so while our worth is never found in what we accomplish, God gives us a role to play in his creation. No matter who you are, he uses every single person as long as you allow him to. We need to realize that our worth is only found in him and not the things that we do. Genesis 1, verse 26, it tells us that we were created in God's image. We were created in his image. And hence, as small as we are, he gave us dominion over the birds of the air and the fish of the sea and all that, But what does it mean to be an image bearer of God? It means that you are God's picture to a watching world. You are God's picture to a watching world. So everything that you do can tell the world what God is like. From your job, from home managing, from anything small that you do, as long as it is coming from God, or as long as you're allowing God to use you in every aspect of your life, and hence this transforms the way we think or the way we view things in the world. You start to see things as small, no matter how small it is. You start to see that no, everything is actually, it's worthy, like it's important. It's really important, and for instance, there's a verse that says we are, what does it say in Romans chapter 12 verse 3 to 8? It says that we should not think highly of ourselves, but we are all we should not think highly of ourselves, but as a body, for as in one body we have many members, and the members do different functions, right? That's just the summary of Romans chapter 12 verse 3 to 8. So just like the body, it has many members. We've got eyes, we've got hands, we've got feet and all that. Yeah, and we're all different. We all have different functions. And yes, you might feel like, okay, you are not seen, but you're still worthy, because guess what? The heart itself, it's inside. We don't see how it works, but we know that the heart is working because you're speaking, or you're actually watching this video right now. You don't see the brain. You don't see the brain, but then you know that the brain exists. Yeah. So it doesn't say that if you don't see the fruits of what you do, you are not worthy. It just, you have a different function and you focus on that. Don't think that, oh, I'm just I'm nothing. No, God can use you. God can use you. So yeah, one of the ways to not feel worthless is to realize that no matter how small you are, God has been using the ordinary things. God has been using ordinary things for his glory, you know, for his glory. The things that are deemed as small, he uses them for his glory, you know. So one thing, you need to humble yourself before God. Yeah. And don't forget that you're an image bearer and not you're not in a competition, if I can put it that way. Don't stop comparing yourself with other people, because that's one of the reasons why we feel worthless. We are comparing ourselves. Let's stop comparing ourselves, because we have different roles to play, you know. Yeah. So what we need to do is we need to stand back, you know, and look at what God has done in the world. Look at how God created all of this out of something that was void, that was empty, you know, something that was dark, and now we see this beautiful thing. That's just how God works. So whenever you feel worthless, know that God can still use you. Have a great day. I spoke so much.